Hey everyone, Sparks back with the last echocalypse video. That's right, I will no longer be covering the game on my channel. There's a lot of layers to this that we'll talk about in this video, but I figured I might as well just get the initial announcement out there without wasting your time. But if you're interested in why I will no longer be covering the game and sort of the issues that I see and what might be in store for the future of the game, let's talk about it. Stick around. So, the first thing that I want to talk about is the impending release of Lindell, and I've been promising this video like ever since I got back from vacation, and I figured I would just combine it with this video because it is just, one of the factors within a lot of things that are happening. So Lindell is a very recent unit that came out on the C server. She is extremely strong. Her character design is also super OP, but in reality, just her abilities are extremely good. She's one of the best, if not the best, DPS in the game. And keep in mind, C is an entire year ahead of global, maybe even slightly more than a year. And Lindell just came out on the C server, which is way ahead of schedule. Now, I've heard speculation on why this might be. On the C server, she was supposed to be like a Lunar New Year celebration because she is a dragon unit and it's Year of the Dragon. Kind of makes sense. And so people say maybe that's why they rushed her out on the C server, or rather CN. And, for whatever the reason, it doesn't seem super good for the game because she's extremely meta. Even in a more up-to-date version of the game, she's really OP for like the current state of global. Now, to my understanding, she did take a slight nerf on the CN server. Something about her true damage on her normal skill was reduced, but even so, she is still extremely good. So we'll just take a quick look at her skills here. This is exactly what it is on C. It says that Lindell swings her giant wheel, causing physical damage to all enemies equal to her own 40% attack each time Lindell undergoes an evolution. She inflicts, again, translation team. This is indicative of, some other things. Anyway, inflicts additional true damage equal to his/her own 30% of attack up to a maximum of his should be her own 90% of true damage. Now, like I said, the true damage percentage is slightly reduced for the CN, and, global is so far copying everything on CN. But still, this is a really good normal attack, like really good. And then her special ability says Lindell breaks all of the cocoon, causing physical damage to all enemies equal to, it still says his, own 120% attack. Lindell begins to evolve, and evolution says, can evolve up to 3 times. Stage 1, the basic damage multiplier of normal attacks increases by 50%. When allies other than oneself initiate an attack, there's a 30% chance to perform 1 pursuit with a maximum of 1 additional action per round. And it keeps getting better and better, of course. By the time you get it to max, it says that basic damage of normal attacks increases 100%. And then when allies other than self actively attack, there is a 100% chance to perform 1 pursuit with a maximum of 3 extra actions per round. That is nuts. And the basic damage multiplier of skills increases by 100% at stage 2. Each action removes 1 action debuff, 1 abnormal status, and 1 control effect on oneself. This can only be triggered once per round. Stage 3, the basic damage multiplier of the normal attack and skills is further increased by 100% for each point of rage, and active attacks carries an additional 10% of attack hit bonus. Subsequent skill releases no longer consume rage. Like, what? And then her passive, Lindell is immune to rage reduction effect and restores 2 rage at the start of the battle. The damage received from all cases is reduced by 5%, and the damage inflicted is increased by 5%. Each time she evolves, these 2 values increase by 5%, up to a maximum of 20%. As you can tell, she is extremely, extremely powerful. So anyway, why am I talking about her so much here? Well, one, it kind of messes with the potential roadmap recommendations that I did before. You know, she kind of blindsided, I think, the whole community with her, really, pushed up release date when we weren't expecting her for like a whole other year. And so, do you want to invest a lot in Curry, which we're about to get, or Yora, or, who knows? She's definitely going to mess with the meta a lot. And, beyond that, it just makes me wonder why they are pushing her release up too much. Makes me, really concerned for the future of the game that they're like fast tracking this so much. And it's just one sign of some kind of suspicious activity. But okay, I think that's enough about Lindell specifically. The big reason that a lot of people have been upset about the game is that the devs are silent, okay? We just get almost zero communication from them. The community has tried to provide them with feedback, and there's just basically no response. Even like my direct communication with them has been really slow. I'll talk about that a little bit later on. The game is making people feel really high pressure to spend. Now, that's somewhat true in any gacha game, but I would say it's very exaggerated in echocalypse. I've talked about this before, about how the gap between spenders and non-spenders, or even like, light spenders to dolphins, can be huge compared to whales, because there's basically no limit on how strong you can get with how much you spend, which is not really the case with other games. Of course, there will always be an advantage to spending, but usually it's somewhat balanced, and the gap doesn't increase that rapidly to the point where whales may be, 10 times stronger than people who are even like moderately spending. It's a little nuts. The gap between free-to-play and whales is just truly enormous and can be very discouraging. The game modes come too quickly. Like, they came really, really fast. And, I really like that there's a lot to do in echocalypse, and you don't have to do everything, but it just feels like they're cramming things in super fast. Like, we get a new type of game mode just extremely frequently. And I don't want to complain about content, because normally getting content in a game is good, but it gets to the point where it's just like kind of overwhelming. And like, if you do want to do everything, the amount of time it demands is pretty crazy. Now we got Lindell, as I just mentioned, which is another thing that is very, makes the future of the game very sus. And then there are just too many subservers. This is perhaps the biggest problem with the game. Echocalypse is not a huge game like Nikkei or Genshin, and so, the player base is somewhat limited in the first place, and then it is segregated into all these subservers. So when we get people quitting, it makes it very difficult for a syndicate, to try and recover from that. Your recruitment options are very, very limited. Just being able to play with other people, it's really hard when they have too many subservers, and I think they should have merged them, if nothing else. Again, the developers just haven't given any word on if that's even something that they may possibly consider doing. And then another point is that just we are getting more and more waves of players quitting. I think this started like a couple weeks ago. A lot of whales started quitting, and I just see this happening more and more and more. And, this would be kind of a red flag for any game, but particularly because of all the segregated subservers, it just makes things really a lot worse. The next thing they'll talk about is that many people in my syndicate recently quit the game. Now, there were a lot of factors in that. Some people wanted to be more competitive. Some people, just wanted to play with some of their other friends that they had. And some people went to either a different syndicate or they just quit the game entirely. And so that's another factor for me personally that makes me feel like I don't want to do it as much, because, it's again, because of those subservers, it's very, very hard for a syndicate to recover. And, trying to recruit new people, even as a content creator, is really difficult because there's just not that many people out there. It's pretty easy to be considered like competitive because there's like 2 or 3 unions on a server that's maybe even really trying, or it can even keep like a maximum number of players, you know, and like you either have to recruit from another syndicate or there kind of isn't a lot of options, you know, and so it's really difficult. I've gotten multiple messages from people about their dissatisfaction with the developers. You know, even people outside of my syndicate and people who are outside of my usual community that I correspond with a lot have talked to me about problems that they're having. They've asked me to even cover things that they were unhappy about or that they're suspicious about, like poll rates recently. And I have, you know, not really wanted to do that because I try to keep things pretty positive. But I will just tell you that I hear this a lot, you know, even if if it's posted on my community Discord or on the official Discord or just private DMs that I get. You know, there's a lot of people who just don't like it, and there are people that have invested a lot in this game and they don't feel like they're being taken care of, and I think that's totally legitimate. You know, even the direct communication between creators, like myself, and the team has been extremely slow and minimal. Now, I don't want to throw any particular person under the bus here. You know, the community managers just might not even be sure what to do, or maybe they're overworked. But, you know, like we have an official discussion channel that we have with creators, and there will be like a whole week between responses. It's very difficult for me to get answers. Like I even got an official download link for the game. You know, link to that in the description if you guys do want to still check it out and download the game. And I was asking them like, well, what are the benefits of people using this? You know, like, do they get a bonus? Do I somehow get a bonus? You know, and like they just didn't even give me any info. And so I don't know. It's been a little strange. I will say that. Now, I do have a gift for you guys. All that being said, I was given one final code to share with you guys. Let me go ahead and pull that up really quick. If I probably should have had this ready to go ahead of time, right? It's in a DM that I have. Here we go. All right, so you can see it here on the screen. It is going to be code MasterSparks, and you will get some rewards. It does have a 200 use limit, so grab it while it's hot. And good luck to all of you guys that are still playing the game. You know, it's been an enjoyable experience for what it was. The game had a lot going for it. You know, the art design was incredible. I think like anybody who is a waifu collector will say that it had just like really top tier designs. You know, the social aspects of the game were really strong as long as, you know, there was still a player base there to support it. But, you know, the concepts in the game was really, really good. Like it had a large amount of collaborative and competitive game modes. I really, really liked that. And it's what helped got my community initially really interested in it. It was a big reason why I was able to bring a lot of new players to the game, and the reason why they were excited about it. You know, and they'd never even heard about it, but they watched me from Nikkei, and then they were like, oh, there's these cool modes that we can do. And, you know, it was really good in concept. I think it had a good story. There was a lot of cool, like, political factions vying for power and interesting things, kind of Game of Thrones-esque. It had really mature characters, not a lot of just, like, you know, one-dimensional archetypes or tropes. And the game had a lot of content, which is a good thing. It just, I think that content came too quickly, and there was just, you know, we needed a little more room to breathe. But the fact that it had a lot of content was good in theory. So like I said, the game did have a lot going for it. I just think the developers, you know, whether it was intentional, some people say it's been a cash grab, or they just didn't know the direction to go. A relatively small company learning, you know, a lot of mistakes have been made, and, you know, very, very little, basically zero communication certainly did not help. So with that said, you know, I will no longer be covering the game. I will still probably play myself, you know, just I will be strictly free to play from now on. I mean, I was a fairly low spender to begin with, but I will definitely be free to play from this point forward, and I would no longer be making content for it. But thank you to all of you guys that watched, and all of you guys that were in my syndicate, and just anybody who played. You know, it's been an enjoyable experience, and I thank you for supporting me. And I got a lot of good feedback, and people enjoyed the content and got some value out of that. And that's the best kind of reward I can get, you know, knowing that like people had fun and were able to get some good value out of the videos I made, you know. And so it was cool, like I said, while it lasted. And good luck to any of you guys that are still playing. Make sure you redeem that code. I might see you. I'll be, you know, kind of like silently just playing by myself casually here and there. And, you know, we'll see. Eventually I might just quit the game entirely. But for now, I'll just play really casually on my own. I will still, of course, be covering Nikke. It's you know, always been my main thing. Nikke community is still going strong. There's still amazing new content for that. It's, you know, Nikke is in a very, very good, healthy place, and I don't see that changing anytime soon, and we're not going to be changing anything with how we cover that on the channel either. I also plan to do some other games in the future too. I want to stream Stellar Blade. It's another game developed by Shift Up. It'll be a PS5 game, so really excited for that. And I might do a couple of other games before that as well. I have a couple ideas, want to try out some things. I've never streamed from my PS5 before, so we'll do some tests for that, so just keep an eye out. Might have a few surprise streams and stuff, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that. All right, well, thank you so much, guys. It's been a blast, and I'll see you guys on the next stream. See you guys in all the future Nikke videos and new things coming up. Love you still, best girl. See you on stream.